My name is Tony Lett. I'm the General Manager of Fred Bean's Kia in Langhorne. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Larry Feldman and Career Changers USA. Larry and I have been working together for about the last 12 years now, and anything I've ever needed as far as recruiting, training, Larry has been right there. Larry's got me salespeople, he's got me managers, he's got me technicians even through the toughest times in the industry, and he is just the kind of guy who's going to tell you exactly what's on his mind. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. But Larry also has the expertise to back it up. When he was in the dealership world, he was a top performer, and that's really important to my staff, especially as it pertains to training. A lot of people can come in and teach out of a textbook, but Larry has real-world experience dealing with customers, dealing with situations in dealerships that we go through on a daily basis and try to train on. But Larry's been through it, so he can really empathize with the people and tell you what's worked for him and maybe what way not to go. Larry is just always at a 10. I mean, his energy level is always up there, and I think people, they just love that and they feed off of it. He's not faking it. He is genuinely excited to come in and help you. He's excited to come in and help grow your business. And he's one of those people who just really enjoys seeing dealers succeed and have a lot of fun at the same time.
All right. Life is about connection. Having a support system to lean on. And roads to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
So what would your dealership feel like if your entire sales staff was literally on fire, your sales and service staff? They were nonstop all over social media, completely dominating your marketplace. They could do it in 30 days or less and then continue their education to do it for an entire 6 months or a year. You literally would completely take over the entire marketplace and no one would be able to compete with you. And that's what we can do for you. So when you're walking around your community, whether you're at local restaurants or you're going to the gym, if you don't want to be bothered, fine, you won't be bothered. But a lot of people will walk up to you and say, oh my God, I love your social media. Your staff is amazing. We love what you're doing in the community. We want to come buy a car from you. We want to get an oil change at your dealership. Your community is absolutely going to love you. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You could be on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms. You will literally be all over the place. And not only will you have ads running, but your own staff is going to be promoting your brand and promoting themselves within the dealership and within the business. So it's like running an ad times 100-fold because your entire staff is participating in the process. I've traveled all over North America. I've trained Toyota. I've trained Nissan. I've been to driving sales. I've been to Women in Auto. I get hired as a speaker for conferences at universities all over the country. And I can help change the trajectory of your dealership right now.
Hey, if you miss us live, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast.
So this is Ian Nethercott from the AutoHub show, and I'm here at ASOTU in Baltimore, Maryland. And I'm here with Hireology.
You got it.
So maybe you can tell me a little bit more about yourself and Hireology.
For sure, yeah. My name's Tiffany. I'm the Director of Automotive Partnerships at Hireology. Been with Hireology for about 2 years, working in the auto space. Auto is about 70% of our business overall, and essentially what we do is we're an applicant tracking system. So we handle the hiring process from start to end for any dealership that's looking to fill any positions at their store. So really, it's a solution for hiring processes. And where we really come into play is like a lot of dealers struggle with using Indeed as their only source of applicants. And Hireology comes into play because we kind of open up the scope for where you can get your applicants from and just, add variety to it. And we help to teach our dealers really like what applicants are looking for when they apply to a job and, how we can help them do that in some kind of creative and innovative ways.
So what's the best advice you'd have for a dealer who, say, couldn't find staff or not sure what to do? I mean, how do you help them with that?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people think that pay is like the number one thing that people want. And the reality is that I think the stat is 92% of people would take a lower paying job if the job that they took has other benefits, because those other benefits a lot of times outweigh pay. So some of the other benefits that are important are flexibility, career growth, culture. So if we have dealers that come up and say they're having a hard time hiring, which many people are, a lot of times the question that we ask is like, what do your benefits look like? If people are really stuck on the pay thing, they can't pay more than so-and-so down the road, a lot of times it takes a long time to change the perspective and to really like kind of look back on your dealership and say like, what am I doing for my people that's a little bit different than, just paying more than the people down the road, like I said. So when we think about other benefits that applicants want, you need to reflect on what your policies look like. And I said flexibility, and flexibility is one of those top 3 things that people are looking for. Flexibility doesn't mean work from home. And that's what a lot of people get hung up on. But flexibility can really mean a whole slew of things.
Right.
But one thing like that we're hearing a lot about lately is dealerships really trying like 410s, for example. So you have a technician, they have to be at the dealership. You have salespeople, they have to be at the dealership. You have all these roles that don't have the same flexibility that people like think as traditional flexibility. So what can you do to change your policy? And maybe it's 410s. Maybe it's allowing like flex time or non-flex time, for example. Like, 10 to noon, you're the least busy during the day. Maybe 10 to noon is the time where somebody can go handle a doctor's appointment, for example. And then they stay an extra hour at the end of the day. But 410s is where I started that train of thought there. But 410s is one of those things that it takes a ton of effort to change 410s. So it's not for everybody. But doing something like experimenting with different hours of operations and things like that, it can be really a difference maker when you're talking to applicants, because you're doing things that not only make a difference for current employees, but also make a difference for people that are looking. Because when you're trying to get somebody to apply to your job, you're not just selling your dealership, you're selling the auto industry.
Right.
And so really you have to show people that it's different, right? You have to show people that you are more progressive, more innovative, things like that. And you have to sell that. You have to treat your job like you would a vehicle.
Right. I mean, we've done many shows on human resources over the years, and the one thing that really stood out for us initially when we started doing the shows now close to 5 years ago was retention in automotive, but more importantly, retention by gender. So I guess my question around the flexibility piece, when you look at, being more flexible, we heard this a lot from women on the show and people that employ women and men, obviously being half and half the population pretty much, that women really wanted more flexibility to stay at a car dealer, not because they weren't inflexible, but because their life demanded that. So what do you hear there from dealers and candidates on that?
Yeah, for sure. And that's super, super valid. When you think about it, women are about 50% of the population. Yeah. Women make up only 2 to 3% of auto techs, and they make up, I think, 11% of salespeople. But overall, for auto, women make up about 27% of the workforce. So when you think about 27% of the workforce, but they're half of the population, we're not prioritizing women and what they need. And realistically, we're cutting out, a quarter of the population because we're not prioritizing what women need. So what men and women need, they're both, we all need something, right? Like everybody needs to live their life outside of their job and stuff. But women have different needs when it comes to mental health and things like that. There's just different things that dealerships don't necessarily think to put in their job descriptions, because it's not a place that you really think all the time, okay, how am I going to get the word out? Number one, career site, what does your website say? Yeah. Number two, when you post a job, are you telling people about those great benefits that you have, or whatever the case? So, and I think I did a roundabout answer to your question, but the reality is these benefits, they matter to men, they matter to women, but when we don't put the benefits, very well on your job ads on your website, we're effectively cutting out, a quarter, half the population with women when we don't prioritize it.
Right. What's the, I guess, the number one tip you'd have for car dealers maybe looking for staff or trying to retain staff or just trying to find hard to find unicorns, to pick a HR word,
right?
That would help them actually get that done?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely not like a one trick thing that you can do, but the first thing that comes to mind is make sure you focus on your career site. Like, make sure you have something on your website that is like a really good indication of who you are as a brand, and make sure that your career site and your brand line up with who you are. People start on your website. People look at reviews. When they're applying to jobs, they're looking at somewhere between 6 and 10 reviews of your company before they even think to apply.
Right.
So do your brand guidelines that you live and breathe by currently, is that conveyed on your website? Is it conveyed in a way that, is appealing to people who want to work there? So my probably number one thing to think about is think about your brand and think about your career site. Make sure that you have a hub for people, like applicants, to turn to and look to, so that they can really get an understanding of what your business is and what your company does before they even think to apply. Sell yourself. Make sure that it's out there for people to see. And a lot of times what we'll see is people don't even have a landing page for their careers. They don't even have, employment branding stuff. A lot of times it's when you think about applying to a job on your phone, I could be driving past any number of dealerships and be like, that looks like a nice place to work. Pull them up on your phone, click through. Your fingers are too big to click on the links on the phone, and then all of a sudden you can't find anything, and then you give up, right? You think about how an applicant's process is online, and can they do it on a mobile phone? So make sure that your branding is clear on your career site. Make sure that it's mobile friendly. Those are both two really quick things that if they're not apparent to applicants, then they just don't have to look. They can look at any number of other dealerships in the world, right?
Yeah.
There's tons of options.
Yeah, 60 to 80% of customers today working at any automotive website are looking at on a mobile device, especially when you look at age demographics.
Yeah.
About 60% of the population, I think in North America, if not globally, I think North America is millennials or younger, and they generally are going to use, I think all people do, but I think millennials are more likely to use a cell phone for texting and other purposes to browse the web. So if you're looking at an automotive website in general, but I guess career pages in specific, it's probably not optimized. So how does someone get started with Hireology if they're looking for another option?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. You can find us at Hireology.com. There's tons of information for you on the website to take a look at. You can schedule a demo with us. We work with 1 in 4 dealerships, so a quarter of all dealerships use Hireology currently. We're really the only product of our type that does exactly what we do. There's no other ATS that's out there that is specialized in auto like we are. We've been around for 11 years, and we really, really just know what dealers need. So when it comes to your hiring needs, we know exactly what auto needs. So there's tons of stuff that we try and provide for our customers and our prospects and every dealership in general, just at an education base of okay, maybe now's not the time to buy, but what can you do in the time period in between now and when you're ready to make that process a little bit better, right? We have tons of resources out there. And the other thing I wanted to say too, when you think about your applicant process, on average, people are applying to about 10 jobs at the same time.
Right.
So 10 jobs, you really have to stand out. So again, go back to your employment brand, go back to your benefits, and think about how you stand out compared to the other 8 to 10 dealerships that people are applying to. You have to make sure that there's something different there.
Thanks very much for all the input, and it's Hireology, faster results, better talent, faster results.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thanks you.
Thanks.
Hey, if you missed us live, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast.